Chances are they're in our cookware, toiletries, even our clothes. They're called forever chemicals, and they're bad. We're now learning what a corporate giant knew about the poison for decades, but stayed silent.
Things like frying pans, contact lenses, dental floss, shaving cream, your kids' school uniform, your yoga pants, your sports bra.
They knew for decades that these chemicals were highly toxic and in everyone's blood.
Forever chemicals sound pretty scary, and well, they are. Their name is long, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Their reach, wide. PFAS is estimated to be in the bloodstream of 98% of the world's population. They're all around your home, on your clothes, in the water, toxic, causing an increased risk of cancer and developmental problems in children.
And so the reason that they're known as forever chemicals is because they never break down in the environment unless they're incinerated at incredibly high temperatures. And in the human body, they stay in the human body for years.
Two Australian women, Sydney Morning Herald journalist Carrie Fellner and Stan documentary director Katrina McGowan,
we could have a serious problem,
have exposed the shocking extent to which man-made forever chemicals have crept into our lives.
And that was removed from the official meeting minutes, wasn't it, sir?
I don't see that final statement in the second copy of the meeting minutes.
Investigating the crusade for justice as communities around the world discover their blood, homes and water are contaminated. The team document the David and Goliath legal battle with American industrial giant 3M, which invented the chemicals back in the 1930s and up until the year 2000 pumped it out in products such as Scotchgard fabric protector, turning up the heat on 3M's role in the scandal, uncovering decades of damning evidence buried in the company's corporate files.
Which ultimately tell the story of what 3M knew and that they knew for decades that these chemicals were highly toxic and in everyone's blood.
They were an enormous money spinner for companies like 3M because they have an incredible ability to repel oil, repel water, repel grease. So they can be used in about 900 different household products.
In the 1960s, 3M also worked with the United States Navy, developing firefighting foam using the same chemicals. The Australian Navy's Jervis Bay Range facility overlooks Wreck Bay on the New South Wales south coast. The documentary team visited the culturally rich Aboriginal community. These chemicals were unwittingly poured into their waterways for decades, used for firefighting training. There were no warnings.
If we wanted to put out an oil fire, we'd have to use the foam and the water.
While the chemical has been phased out, the water is still contaminated.
There was foam in the creek and we would play with it. We didn't know what it was.
This was just such a horrible thing that had happened to them, and not only were they dealing with the fact that their land was contaminated, but it was having a huge impact on their cultural practices, and these cultural practices had dated back for thousands of years, and they were no longer able to fish or collect their bush medicine, and it was just such a heartbreaking story.
Heartbreak too for the residents of Oakey in Queensland, Katherine in the Northern Territory and Williamtown in New South Wales, where hundreds found their properties were contaminated by the firefighting foam. The locals call it the Red Zone. 650 properties within a 5-kilometre radius south of the RAAF base, just outside of Newcastle. We've followed the story of a cancer cluster in Williamtown since 2015. Jenny Robinson was diagnosed with 2 different types of breast cancer.
The neighbours on both sides of me have passed away with cancer. Just in this immediate area, quickly maybe 10 of 15 houses have cancer.
Dark Waters is Hollywood's take on the legal battle with the chemical giants.
That chemical, what if you drank it?
Drank it? It's like saying, what if I swallowed a tire?
Its leading man, Oscar-nominated Mark Ruffalo, is using his star power to keep up the fight.
It's in the food,
It's everywhere. There's nothing you can do without coming into contact with it.
Nobody would be that.
Lawyer Gary Douglas spearheaded the litigation against 3M and another company, DuPont, which used forever chemicals in well-known products, including non-stick cookware coated with Teflon.
It's always my desire to get in court and tell a story in a public forum, and so that the world will hear it.
The case was ready for trial when, the night before, the chemical giants settled.
That's why I think this documentary is so important and so well done, and does tell this story that that needs to be told.
3M agreed to pay $19 billion, DuPont just over $2 billion.
To pay for the costs of remediating, in other words, cleaning out the contamination from their drinking water so that Americans will drink PFAS-free water eventually.
And do you feel in these cases the punishment ever really fits the crime?
You can give someone all the money in the world, but that can't buy back your health. That can't cure your child of cancer. So the money really, it's just not enough for these communities, for the mental anguish that they're dealing with and potentially the physical consequences of that.
Our government has now banned 3 of the most notorious forever chemicals, and you can watch the documentary from tomorrow on Stan.